Hello. Founded less than 3 years ago by an interdisciplinary group of Black leaders across the education industry, IFE has grown to become a powerful network of nearly 2,000 professionals focused on leveraging innovation to improve outcomes for Black learners of all ages, cradle to career. One of the founding initiatives of IFE focused on identifying, developing, and helping accelerate the path of high potential leaders as leadership fellows. The inaugural cohort of the IFE Fellowship is comprised of 10 outstanding leaders from throughout the education ecosystem. Some are educators, some are social entrepreneurs and business leaders. And I have the honor of having two of them join me for today's quick conversation. I'm Joanne Berger-Sweeney. I'm president of Trinity College, and I'm here welcoming Chris Motley and Nelcida Rodriquez, two learning entrepreneurs, to speak about an entrepreneurial mindset. So for me, an entrepreneurial mindset is an ability to sense and identify problems, sometimes before others recognize them, imagine winning solutions, test and refine solutions, persuade people to join the team and others to adopt the solution. The future of work is changing, and we need more people with adaptable, flexible skill sets that an entrepreneurial mindset brings. So I have a few questions for our quick conversation about entrepreneurship. I'm going to start with you, Nelsie, and I'm going to say, where did you learn to be an entrepreneur? Was it in school? Was it through work experience, internships? Tell me how you learned to do this.
That's a great question, Joanne. I would say the seed was initially planted at an early stage of my life from my parents originally. Both of my parents migrated to the US in 1979 from the Dominican Republic for a better life. And both entrepreneurs. I spent a lot of summers working at their shop and practicing some of my practicing some of my sales skills, as well as some of my negotiating skills in terms of trying to negotiate better salary from my dad. Helping customers with finding products that best met their needs. So at the time, finding a charger for a Nokia cell phone or helping them find accessories, as well as possibly helping a customer who was looking to connect with a family member back home, helping them find the best calling card that would help them do that. So it definitely started at home, and the seed was planted there, but I think definitely refined through work study programs in high school and in college. And then in my later years, after I graduated college, through management and leadership roles through organizations that I worked with.
Right. So it's almost as though you were born and bred with an entrepreneurial mindset. That's terrific. Thank you. So I'm now going to ask Chris, where did you get your idea to start your business? And how did you get buy-in from others?
Yeah, well, for me, the idea to start my company really stemmed from a problem that I was having. So I was an executive at a middle market manufacturing company, and I really didn't see a lot of people that looked like me, and figured, we were at a point in time in history where technology can be used to sort of create serendipity for other people. And so that was really the start of it. And the vision that we've always really focused on is advancing the careers of underrepresented students and early career professionals. Now, how you execute that changes as you hit many roadblocks and challenges, but everything we do is really trying to figure out more efficient ways to accomplish that goal and make that vision a reality.
Right. So in maybe a sentence or two, can you, Chris, first describe your business? I mean, what do you do? And then I'm going to ask Nelsie to do the same. Just a sentence or two. What are you selling? What's your business?
Sure. Sure. Well, the company I lead is called Mentor Spaces. And what it is a virtual mentorship community meant to advance the careers of underrepresented talent. So we work with companies, Fortune 1000 companies, and activate their employees to serve as mentors for individuals who may be looking to direct their career in those organizations in various roles across the company.
Terrific. Nelsie?
Yes. So the company that I help lead, it's called Innovative Scholars, and we bring solutions that raise student academic achievement by partnering with districts and implementing a blended learning solution that effectively helps improve student academic outcomes.
Terrific. Well, I can certainly see why the two of you were IFE Leadership Fellows. But I'm going to come back, Nelsie, and I'm going to ask you, where did you get the resources to start your business? I mean, it's great to have an idea, but then you actually need some resources to start a business.
Absolutely, absolutely. So throughout my career, I've had the privilege of working with great organizations that provided support to districts or partnered with different districts throughout the US to provide support to students who were struggling in reading and math. And support them academically by hiring qualified teachers, as well as providing proper training and resources in order to ultimately support our teachers, who are then supporting our students. So I was able to gain a lot of knowledge very earlier on, right after graduating college, and really working in the trenches, right? Really just rolling up my sleeves and getting in there and really understanding what were the challenges that we were up against. Some resources that I've been able to gather throughout the years, and therefore felt prepared to take the leap and launch Innovative Scholars. It's really, most importantly, understanding what the challenge was at hand. What were we ultimately trying to solve for, and what were the outcomes that we wanted to see? Once we identified that, then we were able to develop a plan. Right, you develop a plan, and within that plan, really identify the key players that were going to support and help us achieve our outcome, our goal. And I think the third thing was, which was really important for me, was budget proposal. Understanding what this is going to cost us, what are the financial resources that we need in order to support the operations that we wanted to implement. Right. So those were the three big things for me in terms of resources. So again, just identifying what the challenge was overall, being very clear about that challenge, creating a plan, having a very clear plan as to what it is and what it was that we were solving for and how we were going to do that. And also the key players that were going to help and support us in accomplishing our goals, and having a budget.
Terrific. Thank you. Chris, I'm going to ask you about perhaps an obstacle that you found in starting or growing your business, and how you overcame that obstacle.
Well, I think it kind of builds on some of the things that Nelsie was saying. It's acquiring resources, and for me, it was being very clear about who cared about the vision as much as I did. And that typically becomes the first place to start having conversations and learning how to articulate the opportunity. And I learned very quickly, as long as people can understand what you're doing and they see themselves as part of your success, that tends to get money flowing your way. So that was number one. And I think number two, and it's very much in line with what Nelsie said, is making sure that we had a very clear plan that we were going to execute. And from there, it was just performance and more resources come. But it's always been first and foremost acquiring resources in terms of capital. The second is just getting people to buy in to be your early adopter customers. That tends to make it a little bit easier to recruit people when you have people who paid you money for what you're making, what problems you're solving. But those two things were the biggest challenges, but it always came down to effectively communicating the opportunity and the story so that people would want to jump on board and support.
Right. And Chris, tell me a little, how did you learn how to do this? Because Nelsie shared with us, that she kind of watched her parents, who had their own business and figure out how to do it. Tell us what your story is and how you.
There are a lot of I don't know exactly what the source is. I think there are a lot of things that I experienced that sort of play off one another. I think one is looking at patterns that you see in your favorite movie. There's always a problem that needs to be solved. There's always someone that's helping the hero solve the problem so that the hero overcomes the day. So really reading a lot of resources about effective storytelling was number one. And you see these patterns all over the place in your popular movies or binge-worthy Netflix shows. Number two is really taking advantage of local resources. So I started my business in Chicago. I moved it to St. Louis because there were resources that we really needed there, and then moved again to Denver for additional resources. And in various communities, whether it be accelerator programs, startup weekends, or boot camps, you get to learn from practitioners about how they effectively told their stories in order to attract resources, whether it be capital in the form of money or human capital or customers.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you. Okay, Nelsie, I'm going to come back to you. Can you share with me what advice you would give to someone who wants to become an entrepreneur? And maybe what would you suggest that they definitely not do?
Great question. So, and just to be fair and to be quite transparent, I didn't want to become, that was not my initial choice, right? To become an entrepreneur. I think watching my parents growing up and seeing just the amount of work that it took, to run a business really made me think that this was not the path that I was going to take. But here we are. With that, I would say, one advice that I would give any entrepreneur that's starting off is really to just go out there and put in the work, right? I mean, there is absolutely no shortcuts here. And you have to understand that there are going to be some weeks and some years and where you're going to have to possibly work more than 40 hours a week. I think that's really important that you understand what you're getting yourself into. But I also think it's really important to partner with organizations that are aligned with missions that are aligned with your core values. And I think with that, right, the trick is to just ensure as well that there's a mutual benefit with the partnership. So whether that's through your employer, or if you're doing this on your own and you're solving for a greater cause, there has to be a mutual benefit. And something that I would say to definitely not do, again, and this is just speaking from my experience, is not to do something that you're not passionate about and that you don't truly love.
Right.
Because I truly do not see how else you would be able to make it through, or you have the endurance to continue the work. Really, go out there, work for different organizations if you have to, until you really identify, something, the work that really moves you, that motivates you, that keeps you going, because you're going to need it.
Right. I think you're so right, Nelsie. I think when we try to either teach or help students here at Trinity with career development, so much is about finding your passion.
Yeah.
Because we tell people, if you love what you do, there's certainly a much better chance that you're going to be good at it. So I think you're spot on. Okay, Chris, I'm going to ask you a question, and maybe both of you can respond to this. Do you think that an entrepreneurial mindset will help us address post-COVID challenges, particularly related to equity? And if so, how do you think it might help?
Well, I certainly think it'll help. I think, an entrepreneurial mindset, I think, helps one navigate life, because part of it is problem identification and thinking about ways to solve them. And the current environment that we're in, I think, represents a phenomenal opportunity, because literally the entire world has experienced something that hasn't been experienced in our lifetimes. And so it creates a wonderful opportunity to reimagine or identify new problems that I think have been visible in this current crisis, and build collaborative relationships with folks that'll help dream up solutions to solve them. I think one of the ways, maybe just thinking up top of my head, is more innovation and learning. Obviously, we know that people are tired of Zoom, but it is here to stay. And what is the ideal hybrid model so that learners actually stay engaged, retain what they're learning, and apply it in new and innovative ways? I see a lot of things happening in that space. In my business, the way we're doing it is thinking of mentorship as a more effective way for companies to attract, hire, and retain underrepresented talent. When historically it's been thought of as a solution for employee development, not necessarily a recruiting tool. So those are just a couple ways that I see that are opportunities that have been created because of the current pandemic. I'm sure, Nelsie, you have other ideas as well.
Right. What do you think, Nelsie?
I mean, I think Chris was spot on, right? I think for entrepreneurs in general, again, whether it's within or an organization, or is something that you are leading and solving for on your own through your own business ventures, now is the time to really dive into just the current systems that are in place, the current infrastructures that are in place. And I think we have such a great opportunity to change some of those systems to really support everyone that's involved, to really provide some equitable opportunities for all. And I think that's through so many different sectors. So I definitely think that there is so many opportunities right now for entrepreneurs to really step up and solve for many of the challenges that we are now all faced with, whether that was pre-COVID and now even more post-COVID.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more. And I want to thank you both for this quick conversation that we've had about both the entrepreneurial mindset, but also for those who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, a little bit how you might get started and grow a business. I very much appreciate your time, and thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.